Hi guys! Today we're going to be taking a look at how to multiply and divide fractions. Here's the focus learning target for today. Given an expression with fractions, I will be able to correctly evaluate it by multiplying or dividing fractions. So first, let's take a look at how to multiply fractions. Just as a quick review, if we have a fraction like this, 2 over 5, then 2 is our numerator and 5 is our denominator. So the top number is your numerator and the bottom number is your denominator. Let's look at the steps to multiply fractions. Your first step is to multiply the numerators. So first you want to multiply the top numbers together. And then you want to multiply the denominators. So multiplying the bottom numbers together. And lastly, if needed, you'll be simplifying the fraction. And if you need a review of how to simplify fractions, we covered it a few lessons ago, so go ahead and review that video if you need to. For our first example, let's multiply the fractions 1 over 3 times 3 over 7. So let me rewrite this. We have 1 over 3 times, I'm going to use the dot symbol instead, 3 over 7. First, we're going to multiply the numerators together. So 1 times 3 over, we're going to also multiply the denominators together. So 3 times 7. 1 times 3 equals 3 over 3 times 7 equals 21. We can simplify this fraction by dividing both the numerator and the denominator by 3. And so we get 3 divided by 3 equals 1 over 21 divided by 3 equals 7. So our final answer here is 1 over 7. Let's do another example together. Multiply the fractions 5 over 6 times negative 2. Notice that negative 2 is a whole number, but we can write this as a fraction. So I have 5 over 6 times negative 2. But I want to rewrite the whole number as a fraction. So that's 5 over 6 times negative 2 over 1. We multiply the numerators together. So 5 times negative 2, don't forget the negative, and also the denominators. So 6 times 1. 5 times negative 2 equals negative 10 over 6 times 1, which equals 6. How do we simplify this? We can divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2. And then negative 10 divided by 2 equals negative 5. And 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Let me rewrite this so the negative is just on the outside. We get negative 5 over 3. So our final answer here is negative 5 over 3. Please try this example on Edpuzzle. Multiply 2 over 3 times negative 3. Be careful about that negative. Next, let's look at how to divide fractions. So before we dive into dividing fractions, I just wanted to quickly talk about the reciprocal of fractions. So to get the reciprocal of a fraction, just turn it upside down. So just switch the numerator and the denominator. So for example, if I had 3 over 7, in this case the numerator is 3 and the denominator is 7, I'm just going to turn this upside down to get the reciprocal. So the reciprocal is 7 over 3 because I simply turned the fraction upside down. So just a quick example here. Please find the reciprocal of 2 over 9. What is the reciprocal of this fraction? So with reciprocals in mind, let's take a look at the steps to divide fractions. Our first step is to turn the second fraction into its reciprocal. So we're going to turn the second fraction upside down. And then you'll multiply the first fraction by that reciprocal. So this multiplying, you just follow the same steps as earlier when we were simply multiplying fractions. And then lastly, if needed, you'll be simplifying the fraction. So the most important step when dividing fractions is to make sure you remember to turn the second fraction into its reciprocal. For our first example here, let's divide 1 over 3 by negative 4 over 5. So we have 1 over 3 divided by negative 4 over 5. So let me rewrite this down here. We have 1 over 3 divided by negative 4. I'm just going to put the negative with the 4. So negative 4 over 5. And my first step is to take the reciprocal of the second fraction. So I'm going to now have 1 over 3 times 5 over negative 4. I took the reciprocal here, and now instead of dividing, I'm going to be multiplying these fractions. So we want to multiply the numerators together. So 1 times 5 over the denominators, so 3 times negative 4. 1 times 5 equals 5, and 3 times negative 4 equals negative 12. I'm going to rewrite it, negative 5 over 12. And since I cannot simplify here, this is my final answer, negative 5 over 12. Let's do one more example together. So divide the fractions. So we have 2 over 3 divided by negative 6. And even though negative 6 is a whole number, we can rewrite it as a fraction, negative 6 over 1. So here I have 2 over 3 divided by negative 6 over 1. Here I just turned that whole number into a fraction. Next, I'll take the reciprocal. So we'll have 2 over 3 times 1 over negative 6. I took the reciprocal, and now we're multiplying instead of dividing. So let's multiply the numerators together. 2 times 1, and also the denominators together. 3 times negative 6. 2 times 1 equals 2, and 3 times negative 6 equals negative 18. I can simplify this fraction by dividing both the numerator and the denominator by 2. Once I simplify the fraction, I get 1 over negative 9, or simply negative 1 over 9. My final answer for this example is negative 1 over 9. Please try this example on Edpuzzle. Divide 1 over 4 by 4. So 1 over 4 divided by 4. Remember to take the reciprocal. Let's just quickly review the steps of multiplying and dividing fractions. So to multiply fractions, first you multiply the numerators, then multiply the denominators, and then simplify if needed. For dividing fractions, first you'll find the reciprocal of the second fraction, and then you multiply the first fraction by that reciprocal, and lastly simplify if needed. Great job today, and please make sure to complete any practice problems.